Kristian, welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Exciting times for you, my friend. I've been watching you on social media and everything, man. You're glowing, man. You're excited about your latest project that we're about to talk about.
Yeah, and sometimes like I feel like I don't know. I guess the filmmaker sometimes can be a mysterious figure, and I'm more like excited in a way that's like earnest, where it's like, yo, I made a movie. That's so hard. Like amazing. Like, isn't it? It's like fun, like there's something joyful about the movie making process that I'm honest about, I guess.
Amazing. Before we get into the project, I want to know, like, what made you fall in love with movies and you wanted to jump behind the driver's seat and get going with your career?
It was like a lot of it is motivated by family. Like I think like my family is like super into film, like very, very much so. Like it was like kind of like growing up, the most like powerful thing that united us, I think, like we've
Okay.
always like I went to the movies every week on Friday, in Puerto Rico, like where it would be like $4 a ticket, you know,
Yeah.
kind of amazing actually. That's like such a good deal. Um, and then like I lived across the street from a Blockbuster and I would rent movies like all the time. And then my uncle was kind of like this like crazy like curator collector of films on VHS. So he had a massive, massive collection. Like I'm talking wall to wall. Which was always so cool to go inside his room, like and see all that. And then like you could always just find so many cool movies. And he would like do different movie nights where you would watch like, I don't know, 3 vampire movies in a row
Yeah.
or 3 robot movies in a row. And so that was kind of like the energy. And I think a lot of my film like education came from that really early on.
Mhm. What movie did you fall in love with while with this whole journey?
Oh, I love a lot of films. Are you talking specifically for this one? Like if you were the last?
No, I mean, like, just like
Oh, just in
go
general?
just
Oh,
in
in general?
general, yeah.
I think Back to the Future is one that I kind of always went to. Like when I was a kid, that movie had such a magic to it. It was so clever and so cool, and it's like so rewatchable. And I still watch it till this day, and I still
Yeah.
watch it with friends, family. I go back to it constantly. It's still a film that like stays with me. Like I don't know why. It's just like so easy to watch, like in a
Mhm.
good way.
Yeah. Now this was like one of your first features. Any
Yeah.
pressure with all this? Did you lose any sleep with this?
Yeah, you lose sleep. You could lose sleep for a lot of reasons. Was there pressure? Yeah, it's like making a film is like difficult. It's like kind of
Mhm.
pushing a boulder to the top of a mountain and then it comes back down and you got to do it again and do it again, and it's like putting it together is hard, kind of just like but it's a joyous like thing. Like it's a very cool type of like difficult, like it's almost like puzzle solving in a weird way.
Mhm.
It's like how I looked at it. Like you're always kind of trying to figure out things as you go, and like and also it's just great to just be able to like express the vision about a script you love and like put together a world in a unique way and like work on the performances and like work on what it means and like how it connects to audiences, and like I think just it was, it's difficult, but it's also like in a for me at least, it felt like being home. Like I always
Yeah.
felt I felt like I was like present in a place that I should always be, like sort of like where it's like almost like the most truthful version of myself comes out on set. Like I'm very
Yeah.
much like, oh damn, I'm home. Like this feels right.
Yeah. How did it feel on the last day when you finished everything? You didn't want to go home,
Oh
huh?
man. Oh well, more so than that, probably the last day of shooting the spaceship was probably the craziest. That one was hard because like you're watching people like break down the spaceship, and
Yeah.
like I spent so much time there, and it became kind of like during those days of shooting became kind of like a home. And I like sat down and I was sitting in the living room where so much of the film takes place, and I was like, I teared up, and I was like, damn, like this is crazy. Like I got through this part of the film. And now it's kind of gone. And but now it lives forever on you know
Peacock.
on Peacock. Yeah,
That's right.
Peacock.
That's right.
Oh
Did you take anything home to remember this movie?
yeah, I got the steering wheel for the ship.
Nice.
I did. I kept it. I was like, I'm keeping that steering wheel, and I took it, and I'm gonna mount it at some point.
Amazing. So the movie's streaming on Peacock and everything. I watched it the other night with my wife. My wife loved it. She loves those romance type of friendship movies, so we enjoyed watching this.
Very
What do
cool.
you what are you hoping for, like when somebody goes and watches it for the first time? What are you hoping they get out of this film?
I've been a lot of people have been texting me and sending me messages and stuff about it, and I think I'm getting the reaction I wanted, I think, for the most part. Like it's like people see an earnest portrayal of love, I think. Like I think most
Okay.
people seem like charmed and like fall in love with the film, and like I think for a lot of people it almost feels like an instant classic, for them. Like that's been the reaction I've been getting at
Yeah.
least, like someone verbatim said, "Oh, this is like an instant classic or a cult classic already." Like I could see myself watching this movie multiple times, and I was like, "Wow, that's so generous and cool." And that's kind of like what I was hoping for the most, like people. I think it's a really good film for couples and people who are like kind of starting to fall in love or really want to like see love on screen on some
Yeah.
level.
Mm. When you got your hands on the script, what went through your mind, and how were you approached for to work on this project too?
It was like through I was looking for scripts, and then Angela Barrasa's script just like really, really touched me. Like I was just like blown away by the quality of the script, and like
Yeah.
the words on the page and like the the innovation of it all as well. Because I think a lot of it just felt so fresh and like also like really subverts tropes and like it felt like even though it's a lot of it sometimes it's just two people talking, I
Yeah.
was captivated, in the same vein that like Before Midnight or Hallie When Harry Met Sally or
Yeah.
films of that tradition do so often involve just two people talking. Dinner with Andre, Dinners at Andre, stuff like that where it's like, oh wow, like this conversation that they're having that kind of moves through the ship is so interesting, and so true to like things that a lot of people might feel or think about.
Mm. When you were going through the script and everything, did you have any ideas also, like maybe you wanted to change something, or like just a collaboration between you and the writer?
Oh yeah, there was definitely like some like I mean for the most part the script is pretty preserved. There were just like
Yeah.
little things that were like, oh, how do we emphasize or do callbacks occasionally to
Mm.
things, like I think if I had one strong contribution, maybe it was like some of the mirroring between them occasionally. Not most of it was already there, but there was
Yeah.
one that I remember having to do with kind of like mirroring at a certain key point, like in a big way to kind of create a nice loop that hits, I
Mm.
think, really well. And then some of it was like little punch ups that happen on set too, in terms of like, you see the actors perform it and then suddenly you're like, oh, well, this could use like this punchline would
Yeah.
happen, or like you would add like a little tag to the scene. Um, like sometimes I would, and sometimes I was visual too, like when they're finished dancing and without getting too spoilery, and she says like knocked up, and I kind of wrote in like in my head the dropping down part to make it a even bigger joke, so stuff
Yeah.
like that I would kind of work. But she was a great collaborator, and really honestly the essence of the story and the script didn't change much
Mm.
from what we originally received. We just maybe added little things here and there, like little sprinkles.
Yeah. Would you say the film's like very colorful too in a way?
Yeah.
It's like a lot of brightness in there too.
Yeah. I think I'm more excited by pushing the boundary, like I think films have like, and there's no knock to every film, but there is some stagnation sometimes visually with
Mm.
films that happens that
Yeah.
sometimes films will plateau based on like a trend or a look that becomes popular. And I was more interested in kind of trying to push like into a lot of color spaces and like push the boundary of like how colorful can you make a film without it going too like, well, you could break a film for sure. Like I mean, I don't know, I'm curious about aggro drift honestly because that looks like a color nightmare. Like like it looks cool,
Yeah.
like I'm curious about it just from infrared camera vibes and all that. But like my film, I was just really trying to do it like I was also like I think there's something great about films that just know they're a film, you know, like I
Mm,
am a film. So like the film can just be present and like that and accept like tricks and lighting cues and little things that make films
yeah.
magical, right? And be self-aware of it and utilize it to tell the story better. So like I think that for me, it was creating like a color space that was emotional. I think like you're kind of tracking their emotions through the colors on the film, and sometimes they're separated by colors, sometimes they're united by colors. So there's something powerful about that. So I was definitely from the start was like, yo, I need to make this amazing, colorful film energy.
Yeah. I know we can't talk about spoilers and everything, but throughout the film you notice a few 90s reference too. Was that your
Yeah,
idea to put those in there?
yeah, yeah. I'm a big like proponent of nostalgia as a language of love, you know?
Yeah.
Like I think, yeah, right? Like it's like one of those things where like the preservation of something old sometimes is a form of love. And like when we share our favorite tape or favorite piece of vinyl with someone, the level of intimacy of that is really powerful to me. Like I feel like one of my love languages is gifting people vinyl, right? Like I give
Mm,
someone who I love a piece of vinyl, and that's a nostalgic act. You know, you're kind of trying to hold on to something that is bygone, and you know maybe you remember it sweeter than it actually is. So by having all that kind of sort of 80s, 90s
yeah.
sort of referential texture, I felt the film was kind of speaking to a love language or this feeling of longing of something that might be gone, you know?
Mm. So what a great cast, first of all. How did you go about like casting the perfect Adam and Jane? Like
Oh,
was certain things you were looking for each person?
yeah. I wanted some like I wanted a magical pair, you know?
Okay.
And when I was doing chemistry testing, Anthony Mackie and Zoe, you could tell there was just something about them together that made me imagine the film as like very much like a fun like I could see them just becoming friends, which actually ended up happening. Like they became
Yeah.
friends through the process of making the film, and they were like there was just a bounciness to them, and it felt really organic, and it felt like I don't know. You could almost feel like they were learning from each other in some way. They're becoming like there was just something about even having them on set together all the time, where they started making their own jokes, they started making their own handshakes, they started doing like all this stuff that I was like, that's cool. Like that's stuff that's not on like the page, or it's not stuff that I as a director could imagine. Like they brought those characters to life at a different place that needed to happen so that you can feel that, you know, because it feels very earnest when you watch the film that their friendship is very real, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned how they became friends offset and on set too. Does that mean like someday you're gonna try to work with them again? Did you already tell them we're working together in the
Dude,
future?
oh, somebody in Hollywood fund that. I would in a heartbeat jump on like them as a duo or them as individuals too, to be honest. Like I would
Yeah.
happily work with them anytime. Like I love working with Anthony. I love working with Zoe. They're both so cool and like incredibly talented. And I love their process, you know, like as actors. Yeah, it'd be sick. I would be so happy. Even if it's like they just pop in for cameos occasionally,
Yeah.
like cool critical roles. But I wouldn't mind. There's definitely space for like I'm sure there's so many stories to tell. So like and like I would love to find some other script that would involve both of them, or even if it's ensemble cast and they're kind of part of it, that would be
Yeah.
incredible, you know?
Mm. Do you have a favorite character in the movie that sticks out to you?
Ah, the robot. No, that's like my funny, goofy answer. Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, that character's cool. You know what's cool about that? My friend Angie, who's an animator, is the voice of that computer, and there was something cool about giving her her first voice acting gig. You know, like that.
Yeah.
And so I think like I was very sentimental about that character particularly, and also because as a in a story sense, it's like kind of what personifies and make the ship like a character like it's almost your third character in that those scenes where you're like it's really Jane and Adam, but then you have this little little robot guy,
Yeah.
like encouraging them along, like and her lending her voice. She has such a unique voice, so I was like,
Mm.
oh yeah, like your voice is kind of perfect.
You mentioned scenes. Is there a scene that didn't make the movie that you're kind of like you were sad about, but hopefully they'll be in? I don't know if a
I've been
Blu-ray comes out, there'll be extra scenes.
damn, a Blu-ray should come out. That would be, if a Blu-ray came out, Peacock, I will provide incredible director commentary and guests. Because I would just have like funny comedians come do commentary with me. Like I would love to do a commentary of this movie with Hannibal Buress. Like that would be funny as hell. Like us two just snacking, watching the movie together, and just Hannibal just riffing on what's happening and me reacting to that. That would be such a funny like DVD commentary. Favorite scene that didn't make the film. Oddly enough, we actually ended up shooting more scenes than were on the page. So we ended up needing to use most of the scenes. There might have been just something draggy or something that didn't like flow that I just cut out just because um you know it was just like a pacing thing, like I wanted to hit a certain pace. The movie has like a really strict sort of rhythm to it, like if you don't like let the rhythm flow, like the movie kind of like ends up not like, you know what I mean? Like it's like
Yeah.
whether like an album, like you kind of want to have every song on a perfect album like hit a certain way and like transition smoothly, and you're like have like sometimes it's like, oh, like this flows into this or transitions, or sometimes it's like abrupt and you want it to be. So like I was looking at almost like album curation where it's like, oh yeah, like I just need to make all the scenes sort of flow, and so I don't know, I don't feel like there needs to be, I don't need the world to see the behind the scenes shots that we cut, really. Like I think the film is as perfect as it can be in terms of my own take on it.
It's amazing. So if you were the last, now streaming on Peacock, what's next for you? Are you getting behind the scenes again for some music videos, stand-up comedy? What's next
uh
for you?
I mean, I'm developing a few feature projects, and we'll probably hear more about those soon. Once people are ready to make announcements for it. I mean, the
Awesome.
Cheech and Chong movie got announced,
Yeah.
so can't talk about it too much, but what amazing, that's gonna be amazing.
Uh,
I feel like I'm so the guy for Cheech and Chong, but we'll see.
we'll have to have you back on when that comes out.
Yeah, for sure.
So Christian, lastly, now, how can the listeners, the viewers find you on social media to keep up with you with,
Oh
especially like I said lately on Instagram, you're blowing it up about the movie.
yeah. Yeah, if you want to see me post with reckless abandonment about my joy about the film, you can follow me on Instagram. It's KRISMERC, Chris Merc at Instagram. Just follow me, like stuff, share it, go watch the movie on Peacock. I really would love it if you did watch it. Go to Letterbox, review it. That would be cool. The Letterbox reviews are fun.
Yeah, that's right. I know I had an account, but I still don't. I don't use it all often.
Oh, no worries. That's
So
cool. Some people are
I'll
obsessed.
go on it just for you.
Oh, bless. Yeah,
There
like
you go. There you
a
go.
cool the Man Cave Chronicles review on
There
there.
you
That would be sick.
go. Christian, I want to thank you for giving me this today. This was great. And like I said, let's get you back on for future projects.
Thank you, man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.